Hi, welcome to another Feldenkrais video to make you feel wonderful in your body. When you're ready, come to lie down on your side, and it can be either side. Maybe you go to your most comfortable side, and whenever you arrive, go ahead and lie either on your arm or you can use a pillow. Once you're on your side, you can have that top hand just resting on the floor if you like, and begin to make a movement of lifting the top leg and bringing it back down, and just notice how heavy that leg is. Pause. See if you can have your knees in front of your hips and your feet under your knees. From here, pretend you have a string tied your ankles together and lift the top knee and allow the weight from that top foot to go into the bottom foot as that top knee lifts and lowers. And just feeling that movement. Top knee lifts and lowers. And then pause for a moment. Lift the leg again. See if it got any lighter or easier. And now pretend you have glue between your knees and start to lift that foot away from the other foot. Top foot lifts away from the other foot. Notice the direction of your toes, your feet, and just see if you can let the weight from the top knee go into the bottom knee so it's easier to lift that foot. Make sure you're breathing and pause the next time you come back. Once again, try lifting the leg and see if it's any easier. Place your hand on the top hip and just keep it there for a moment. And now as you begin to lift the knee, keeping the feet together, just like we did a moment ago, notice where the hip goes. And if you can feel it goes a little bit backwards. So try taking your hip backwards before you lift the knee in order to help. So you allow yourself to take the hip backwards and the knee comes up and everything comes back together. And notice if that got any easier to lift the knee. Let's try the same thing with the other movement, keeping the knees together, lifting the other foot. Where does the hip go now? If you can feel it goes a little bit forward. So encourage your hip to go a little forward before you lift the knee, before you lift the foot. Encourage the hip to go forward, the foot lifts. And then you can make it one movement of the hip going forward and the foot lifting. Pause for a moment. Try lifting the leg. See, is it any easier or does it go any further now? Once more, bring your hand back to the hip and let's alternate. So once we lift the knee, let the hip roll back. And next we lift the foot, let the hip roll forward. Rolling forward and back. And using the hip and feeling that movement. Pause, and one more time lift the leg, see if it's any easier to lift. And if you want, you can use that movement to take you all the way to your back to rest, or you can come to seated, or you can walk, but pause for a moment and rest and just notice the difference on your two sides, the difference in your back, in your chest, in your pelvis, and in your breathing. And then we're going to go to the other side. So when you're ready, come to lie on your second side. If it's not comfortable, you can always stay with the first side. Once you arrive, go ahead and have your arm long or use a pillow. You might have pets around too. And so you want your knees right in front of the hips and the feet under the knees. Once you arrive in that position, just begin that movement of lifting the knee, but imagining the feet are glued together. And just see how it feels on this side. Knowing what you know from the other side, go ahead and place your hand there and see, is the hip going back to lift the knee? And if not, do you want to encourage it to go a little bit back to lift your knee a little easier? Let's try lifting that leg. Maybe it's easier because we did the other side. It might just be your easier side. Bring the hand back to the hip and let's lift the foot away from the other foot and feel what the hip does as you breathe. And you can encourage this hip to now roll forward if you want, seeing does that make the movement easier. And a couple of times go back and forth, once lifting the knee, another time lifting the foot, rolling forward and back. Come to pause and rest and lift your whole leg and see if it's easier to lift. Bringing it back down when you're ready. And then let's try something a little bit more to add to this. We're going to have the leg up in the air, and then we're going to bring the knee down to the opposite knee. So you've got your top foot in the air. Now, as you bring your top foot down, your knee is going to come up. So they do that at the same time. And now you have your foot down and your knee up. As the knee comes down, the foot comes up. Same time. And then they switch. And you're breathing as you do this. And go faster if it's easy. And then when you're ready, come to rest on your back and just notice your contact. Seeing how you feel in your hips and your lower back. And whenever you're ready to come to standing, you can come to standing or you can continue to rest and lying down. But whenever you come up, notice your hips. Notice how fluid you feel in your movement, how much easier walking might have become. And I hope you subscribe and join me for more videos. Thank you so much.